Grand Rising and welcome to another segment of CLG Viewpoint. I am Cindy Lorraine Grace. It is Thursday, February 13th, 2025, and today is segment number 19. We will be covering growing citrus in Canada, massive protest by farmers in London. Ladysmith moves to revoke massage spa business license over bylaw violations. BC decision to cut terminal Langford girls drug funding under urgent review. Update on BC ostrich-cull lawyer says farm's case could set precedent. Inspirational soul of light is Tim Wild. This week's segment is from Monday to Friday. And if some of you are new to the channel, I do have a CLG Viewpoint chat. Join us there. Lots of fun conversations. And if you want to do an interview here on my channel, you can leave your message there on the chat and we can make arrangements. Getting to know you for me definitely is an honor and a privilege. Well, each segment I start with a sage clearing. For some of you who haven't heard of a sage clearing, it's a process I clear out any negative entities. Yes, those little guys causing chaos. And leaving each segment with positive energy. Only negative energies are to leave. To all low energy entities, you are healed, forgiven, enlightened, and sent back to your perfect place and escorted by my spiritual guides. And so it is. And everything is nice and positive. Thank you. Today, we are going to discuss citrus fruits growing in Canada. And here is the video.
Former destinations. CTV's BC Bureau Chief Andrew Johnson shows us what's possible.
They're doing really well. Look at the leaf quality is just amazing.
This is Jane Squire's subtropical happy place.
This is a special little hardy guava.
About 10 years ago, Squire set out to grow her own citrus on Canada's west coast.
There's oranges and lemons and limes and grapefruits. We are moving into the avocado.
Squire's not only plucking fruit from these trees in the middle of winter, she's also doing it on the cheap.
My power bill for the whole farm is pretty much like a single family home.
She credits regenerative soil techniques. An energy curtain hanging above the citrus grove cuts heat loss by about 40%. A hydronic system fueled by a wood-burning furnace keeps the temperature from dropping below 1 degree Celsius.
Hot water goes in here from that furnace and heats this water up, and then the heat comes off the pool, just naturally comes up, and the fan over there takes the heat and circulates it around the greenhouse.
Jane Squire believes it could be cost-effective to scale up subtropical fruit production in the Great White North, and she's not alone.
In the future, maybe British Columbia will be the California of Canada.
Bob Duncan runs this demonstration orchard near Victoria. He spent decades researching the best way to grow dozens of varieties of subtropical Mediterranean tree fruits for pennies per day. His secret weapon to keep the trees warm? Christmas lights.
The heating cost for the entire winter would be about $2 to $3.
What Duncan calls a low-tech, low-cost method anyone can learn to get more people growing and Canada less dependent on its neighbor.
No longer a pipe dream. It is entirely feasible.
In a country ripe for finding new ways to be self-sufficient. Andrew Johnson, CTV News.
Isn't that wonderful? No more freight costs. We can grow everything here in Canada. And now on to international news. RT News, February 11th, 2025. Tractors block central London in massive farmers' protest. Hundreds descended on the British capital to decry inheritance tax changes. Tractors blocked the streets around the House of Parliament in London on Monday as British farmers gathered to rally against the government's plans to change the country's inheritance tax policies. The changes will force many farms into bankruptcy, analysts say. The policy announced in the budget by the ruling Labour Party last year will come into effect in April 2026, scrapping a long-standing exemption that meant no inheritance tax was paid to pass down family farms. According to the updated policy, agricultural assets worth over $1.24 million would be liable for the tax at 20% when handed down to heirs after the owner's death. The day-long tractor rally organized by Save British Farming was staged as British lawmakers debated an e-petition with nearly 151,000 signatures, calling to preserve the current inheritance tax exemptions for working farm estates. The protest is intended to protect the country's food security, political commentator Katie Hopkins told RT, emphasizing that the farmers were not demanding subsidies or other state funding. Quote, they're just asking to keep the farm they inherited from their parents so that they could give them to their children, to the kids. They're just asking to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning so they can feed the nation, close quote, Hopkins said. Much like previous rallies, the farmers entered Westminster on their tractors, honking and holding signs reading, "We all need a farmer. Food security first. Let's stand together." According to Dan Willis, one of the participants in the rally, land owned by farmers is not an asset for trade, as it is used for growing crops and grazing livestock. Quote, we may sit amongst this massive asset, but without that asset, that's how we earn our living, close quote, he said. Quote, once you start taxing my tools, I can't do my job. And I can't pay any taxes, close quote. Quote, understand the basic mathematics of how they've got it so far wrong. It is unsurvivable from how we can move forward as it stands today, close quote, Willis highlighted. Tom Bradshaw, the head of the National Farms Union, argued that the farmers do not object to paying taxes, but that they prefer to pay tax on produce, quote, rather than a death tax, which is simply unaffordable and unacceptable. Now here's a video I'd like to share with you. Personal thoughts. Do you think that UK needs to cut government spending? Yes, government spending instead of adding more taxes to the local farmers. Now on to local news. Ladysmith moves to revoke massage spa business license over bylaw violations. Ladysmith Chronicle, written by Morgan Brayton, February 11th, 2025. January 20 inspection of natural massage spa by Ladysmith bylaw officers and RCMP raised several concerns. The town of Ladysmith is moving to revoke the license for a business operating under the name, quote, natural massage spa, close quote. Following an investigation that found the establishment in violation of municipal bylaws during its February the 4th meeting, Council received a late agenda item recommending the cancellation of business license number 189, issued to Natural Massage Spa. The report, prepared by the town's Development and Protective Services Department, cites unauthorized renovations and business activities inconsistent with the approved license. Natural Massage Spa was granted a business license on November the 7th, 2024, under the classification of an office providing health and wellness services, including acupuncture, cupping, and massage. However, complaints received in December 2024 suggested the premises were being used for the sex trade. While the sale of sexual services is not illegal in Canada, purchasing these services, advertising them, and operating or benefiting from a commercial enterprise that offers them are offenses under the criminal code. Additionally, unauthorized business operations and unregulated work environments can pose safety risks. Law enforcement agencies across Canada often monitor such establishments for potential human trafficking, labor exploitation, or unsafe conditions. According to visuals shared to Council from RCMP officers and bylaw officers, advertising materials on a website called Leo List promoted, quote, full erotic massage, close quote, at the business address, featuring sexual, suggestive language and imagery. Upon arrival at the premises, RCMP say that the investigators found a dimly lit space with makeshift beds, minimal privacy features, and a lack of legitimate massage or acupuncture equipment. A woman who was not the license holder and whose role was unclear was present on site wearing lingerie, the report reads. Additionally, Council heard that unauthorized building alterations were discovered, including a shower, sink, washing machine, and a sump pump, all installed without proper permits, raising health and safety concerns. In a January 21st email to Ladysmith bylaw enforcement, the licensee, Rong Hu, said she had sublet the property to another individual, a direct violation of Section 7.3 of the Business License Bylaw, which prohibits license transfers. Quote, the town has no authority to regulate the sex trade or morality, quote, the staff report to Council read. Quote, however, under the Community Chart and Local Government Act, the town can regulate business and land use. The town does this through its business license bylaw and zoning bylaw, respectively. The Chronicle found online advertisements for Saskatoon business using the same phone number as Natural Massage Spa in Ladysmith. These ads promote job opportunities for, quote, female masseuses, accommodation included, and claim a daily income of between $600 and $1,200 per day. Given the findings, the town staff recommended immediate notice to the business owner, with the matter to be formally addressed at the February 18th council meeting. Council voted unanimously to accept the staff recommendation. Phone calls to the licensee, Rong Hu, were not returned, but she did respond to the Chronicle via text message. Hughes said she was aware of Council's decision, but did not think a hearing was necessary. Quote, I read the letter this afternoon and I agree with the decision. I'll just sell the office and move on, she said. When asked about online advertisements recruiting workers for a massage business in Saskatchewan, Hugh denied any connections. When asked if she owns or operates a massage business in Saskatchewan, Hughes stopped responding. Personal thoughts. When you have laws enforced in your community, you have a community whose crime rate diminishes. BC decision to cut terminal Langford girls drug funding. Yes, under urgent review. Charlie's last treatment will be on February the 27th, and without her, quality of life will deteriorate. Goldstream News Gazette, written by Ben Fenlon, February the 11th. The province's decision to withdraw funding for a terminally ill Langford girl's life-sustaining treatment is under urgent review. 9-year-old Charlie, who is the only child in BC living with the rare genetic disorder, Batten disease, has been receiving bi-weekly enzyme replacement treatment funded by the province for over 5 years. Her family was recently told the province will be pulling its funding, as Charlie no longer meets the criteria for the drug Brineura. Charlie's mom, Jory Fales, said she felt blindsided by the decision, especially as the treatment was, quote, dramatically slowed down, close quote, the progression of the disease. Quote, they're deciding whether our child lives or dies, close quote, Fales told Goldstream Gazette. We don't have that decision. The disease decides that first, but they, the province, are quickening that decision, close quote. Charlie's last scheduled infusion treatment will be on February 27th, and without it, Fales has warned her daughter's quality of life will deteriorate, with daily seizures one of many consequences. The decision to withdraw funding under the Expensive Drugs for Rare Disease program was made by medical experts based on clinical evidence and recommendations from Canada's Drug Agency, explained Health Minister Josie Osborne in a February 10th email statement, apparently standing by the resolution. Quote, the clinical criteria for when to use Brineura, including when therapy no longer has benefits and should be discontinued, have not changed, close quote, she said. But less than 24 hours later, Osborne made an about-face, quote, I have directed the Ministry of Health to urgently review all the facts of this case and determine whether continuing treatment may have quality of life benefits for Charlie, close quote, said the minister. The news has been cautiously welcomed by Charlie's mom, who first heard of the review when she was told by Goldstream Gazette. Quote, I'm feeling a lot of relief at the moment, she said. I'm hoping that it goes positively for Charlie. But I'm still feeling scared. Without treatment, Charlie will not have a good quality of life. When Fales shared the news of Charlie's plight on social media, thousands, yes, thousands responded with messages of support. Many said they had contacted their MLA calling for a reversal in the decision. Support gratefully received by Fales and Charlie's father, Trevor Pollock. But the Langford mom is not just concerned for her own daughter. She is worried about the decision will impact the other families in Canada, with children living with Batten disease, of which there are less than 20. Quote, I don't want this happening in other provinces and territories in Canada, close quote. Before the minister's call for an urgent review, Charlie's family and medical team, who support the treatment continuing, were readying themselves for an appeal. But now Fales is hopefully, the ministry will move fast with its urgent relief of Charlie's case. As with only 2 treatment infusions left before the end of February, time is running out for the 9-year-old. Personal thoughts. No child, yes, no child in our country should have to go through this. Children are our VIPs. Also, the government officials know that the med beds were to go out immediately. So what is the delay? Do you think that the government officials should release the med beds? Do you think that many people would support medbeds for treatments? BC ostrich-cull, which is cull means death. Lawyer says farm's case could set precedent. White Rock lawyer Michael Carter says injunction success quite rare in CFIA cases. Ladysmith Shamanist Chronicle, Tracy Holmes, February 11, 2025. The case that's ruffling some big feathers in the West Kootenays has hatched a strong connection to White Rock. Lawyer Michael Carter said the outcome of his firm's challenge of a call order issued by the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, CFIA, to Universal Ostrich Farm could leave quite an impression. One that is potentially precedent setting when it comes to avian influenza. Quote, we have to look at this with a bit more attention and develop a better policies to address what's happening with the avian influenza outbreak as a whole, quote, said Carter, a partner at Cleveland Doan LLP. Quote, the precedent-setting nature of it is arguing that CFIA has to look at these issues on a case-by-case basis and also kind of the humanitarian aspect of it, close quote. Carter is lead counsel for Universal Ostrich Farm located in Edgewood, where an avian flu outbreak led to a December 31st order from the CFIA to destroy the entire remaining flock, nearly 400 additional ostriches by February the 1st. The quote, stamping out, close quote, policy is not new and has been applied by the agency many times in recent years, including to some 4 dozen BC chicken flocks last fall. The measure taken following a confirmed case of the virus is aimed at preventing disease from spreading. At a virtual hearing January 31st before federal court, Justice Michael Batista Carter and co-counsel Alona Kakanova successfully argued for a stay of the order issued to Universal pending a judicial review of the CFIA decision. In this ruling, Batista said at least 2 serious questions were demonstrated by the application. Was the disposal notice reasonable given CFIA's discretion to require either disposal or vaccination? And was it an incursion upon provincial responsibility under BC's Animal Health Act? As well, the applicant demonstrated that irreparable harm would result if the injunction was not granted, Batista concluded. Carter described the last-minute win as fairly unique. Quote, it's quite rare to get an injunction itself in one of these CFIA-type cases. There might be 1 or 2 other ones out there, he explained. The fact that we were able to get an injunction in federal court on short notice, stopping CFIA from implementing this call order, is pretty significant in itself. The case was also somewhat unusual for Cleveland Doan. Online, its 6 attorneys named strata, estate, construction, family law, and civil litigation as among their main focuses. There's no mention of agriculture and certainly not of ostriches. Carter, who grew up in White Rock but moved to Chilliwack a couple of years ago, said he has some general background with CFIA, dealing with avian influenza outbreaks, including 1 active case in Chilliwack. The Universal file was referred to him by a former classmate who works at an Alberta organization that the ostrich farm owners had first approached for help. It landed on Carter's desk just 10 days ahead of the February 1st depopulation deadline. He estimates he and Kokonova both put around 14 hours each day into drafting the 12-page motion that ultimately paused it. A date for the judicial review has not yet been set, but Carter is hopeful Cleveland's Bowen's involvement in the case will highlight the firm's versatility in the field, considering there is no shortage of agricultural industry closer to home, including in South Surrey and South Langley. Quote, there's hopefully opportunity to grow that agricultural law practice here at Cleveland, Bowen said. I'm hoping the injunction victory just shows that Cleveland Doan is able to take on these cases and obtain results. As for upcoming judicial review, Carter said he and Kakanova remain cautiously optimistic. The court will rule in favor of Universal Ostrich Farm. Here's a video on the ostrich.
We keep sending videos of, look at how healthy and happy these birds are. How can you literally come kill them? I don't get it. That kind of is the issue, I think, with CFIA, is what you're doing, is you keep culling these animals that have built an immunity, and then you depopulate them, but then you repopulate with weaker genetics. And it doesn't make sense. When do we stop this madness? And when do we say, look, here's healthy animals. This entire side, we've not had one bird sick on the entire side.
It's eradication. It's not a
For commercial poultry. We're red meat.
Eradication and control. You're arguing for control, whereas we're not there yet. Eradication is the path that Canada has chosen to deal with high-path avian influenza.
Okay, and when this happens right now, and I keep saying this to CFIA, what about the ducks that are here? What are you doing about the ducks? They brought it to us.
Yes, I know. That's why biosecurity is really important.
We're offering to work with the ducks. We're saying, hey, why don't we all adopt this idea and start working at how to mitigate the problem instead of keep calling all these farms. This is wrong. And when you have, this is not your usual little poultry chicken farm, as you can see, these are ostrich. I don't even know how you can look, these guys, these healthy birds, and you can clearly point out one bird that you see that looks sick here today, please. Because I'd like to see, there's no sick birds here. And you're gonna actually have somebody come in and murder them? Okay, let's start with your disposal pile.
Shame, shame, shame. Personal thoughts. Do you think that the CFIA needs to have a full forensic audit, making sure that every decision they make is aligned with natural law? I am Cindy Lorraine Grace of CLG Viewpoint, and I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for being here today with me. Thank you. If you feel compelled to, please share this forum with others. Today's inspirational soul of light is Tim Wild. Tim Wild is an ascension and light body expert who has been working closely with the evolvement of Earth for most of his life. His current work with ancient Atlantean technologies is already helping those on a spiritual path around the world. Have a truly wonderful evening and see you on Friday, February the 14th, 2025.